and saved a wretch like me. You're here, I'm pleased, I really feel your company. Your style, your smile, your pace mentality. Lord, have mercy on me. I was blind, now I can see what a king's supposed to be.
Excuse me, miss. I was in the waiting room when you gave your testimony. And what I realized is that we have an enemy in common. While you were being called to the office again, I was being put out the only home I've ever known. While you were shaking with anxiety and fear over something no one ever wants to hear, I was shaking in dread. Because we all know what happens to little girls that have no home and no one to claim them. I think our souls passed each other by. See, my soul left me a long time ago in a dingy motel room, ripped away by brutal force. It fled, unable to find its way back home.
Historical people, who would you want in your seat and why?
Wow. I guess because I'm different. You know, I'm not really starstruck. And so it would be hard to really pinpoint anybody in particular. First person that just came to my mind, you know, I mean, if I had an opportunity to cut Denzel, you know, I would.
That's a good one.
I'd do that.
That would be a dope conversation.
Exactly.
How important is diversity in your work, considering you grew up in a bilingual and bicultural home?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's very important. I think at this point, just in society, there's just so much diversity. You know, whether it be in language, whether it be in your upbringing, whether it be, you know, whatever that is. And so I think growing up in, you know, a bilingual household as well as really a bicultural, despite the fact that, you know, my parents are you know, both of Hispanic descent, but growing up in two different cultures of, you know, very traditional values in the home and very different, and sometimes similar values, right, outside of the home, but in different ways, right?
Yeah.
And so,
he tests those whom he loves. I pray he continues to love me till my death. I pray he continues testing me and testing me and testing me until I have no questions left. Until I can ingest knowledge and choke on lies and spit out truth with every breath. But you see, until love for what he loves and hate for what he hates is the only thing that's left within my chest. I know that I will constantly fight to love what's right because I was created with a heart that sits slightly to the left. But I'm okay with that. Because I always knew and always know that he knows exactly what is best. You see, he knew that it would only be a matter of time before I would open my eyes and finally realize that I needed to look deep down inside and pull out the divide so that my heart and my mind would collide and learn to work together.
What's going on, my good people, online community? We are back for another insightful, powerful episode of Ordinary Conversations with Extraordinary People. I am your host, Willie Beeman. I'm excited about this episode. This woman to my left, studying her bio, she's definitely a person of public service, community engagement, leadership, motherhood, all those different things. So I'm excited to have an awesome dialogue with you. But without further ado, I have to give her introduction. She is raised in the state of Arkansas. She has a bachelor's in human resource development from the University of Arkansas, has her MBA from Texas Women's University. Outside of her professional career, She is the field director for Congressman Marc Veasey, focusing on community engagement, education, and public service. She also is the founder of Legacy Circle, empowering women through service, self care, and legacy building. And then, last but not least, she is happily married to her husband, Mitchell, also with two children, Jaden and McKinley. Online community, in person family, let's give a warm welcome to the one and only Miss Scherron Richard. How you
Thank,
doing?
I'm great. Thank you so much for having me. I'm really honored to be here today to converse with you.
Yeah. I'm excited too. Like I talked to you, I've said about the things that you do in the community, multiple hats, serving leaders. So yeah, I'm excited to see where this goes. Before we get to you know your professional career, the degrees that you have, motherhood, marriage, all those different things. Who was Miss Scherron Richard as a child?
So, as you mentioned, I grew up in Arkansas, very small town, southwest Arkansas, outside of Texarkana. Name of the town is Foreman. Not very many people have heard of it, but that's where I grew up. Single parent household, but my dad was always involved, did a great job. And as a child, I spent a lot of time with my maternal grandmother and great aunt, as well as other family members. But those two women, my grandma Beatty and Aunt Mamie, they really played a role in shaping how active and involved I am civically. I just recall whenever it was time to vote, they would put on their good wigs,
Yeah,
earrings, their good dresses, and they would go vote. And they never said, Sharon, it's important to vote or anything like that, but their actions spoke louder than anything. And so, because of them, anytime there's an election, I'm there. And it's just something that was instilled in me. And that's part of the legacy that they left behind.
yeah,
And then my mom, hard worker, one of the strongest women that I know. She's a chef. I call her a chef. She kind of, she's very low key, but just great cook, great woman, caregiver. So a lot of the lessons that I take with me now about caregiving and community directly attributed to her. My dad, hard worker. He
yeah,
really set the standard. I was a daddy's girl.
yeah.
He spoiled me, and so now my husband has taken that place. And
Right.
so it's his fault. It's my dad's fault. And so I grew up in the country. I was a nerd. I just remember my punishments were to go outside and play. I love to read. I love to read books. And again, grew up pretty poor. So a lot of times in the stories that I chose to read, they took me other places, and it really
I've
just,
heard that from yes,
yeah, it
multiple
really,
guests.
yeah, it just expanded my view, and it wanted me to search out and do more than what I saw
Yeah.
in my community.
Yeah, I can totally agree. Going back to you mentioned your mother, being a strong woman, leader in her own right. I definitely can relate to that in regards to my mother, Brenda Strickland, leading from the front, caregiver, making sure that family business is, is taken care of. She's the only male of three other brothers, my other uncles, and so anytime it comes to family business or getting things in place, she's leading from the front. She's the
Hmm.
youngest. And so, women, having that ability to nurture and get things in place, I think is a powerful thing.
Absolutely.
Going back to your story, as I was studying your bio, it did say that you were definitely an avid reader, reading different books, like you mentioned earlier. Books, different books allows you to go on different journeys, and it takes you into different places based on those choices of books. So, growing up in the rural area of Arkansas, what role did books play in shaping your dreams and worldview?
It just showed me there was so much more. The community I grew up in, most people were a lot of like. There wasn't a lot of variety, just culturally, racially, even economically. Most people were very similar. Everyone of the same faith, pretty much.
Yeah,
So it really just expanded that. I used to I really used to read a lot about like stories in England. Like I remember reading the autobiography of King Henry VIII, and I just
mm,
loved the language, the variety, and
Yeah, yeah,
the uniqueness of it.
yeah. Are you going back to childhood? Are you the only sibling?
So in the household group, there were four of us. So two older brothers, and then myself and my younger sister.
Okay, okay. Is their relationship still, I guess, solid to today? Growing up in the household with one another, how does that dynamic in regards to today?
So we're all really close. The brother who's a year older than me, he passed away at the age of 21. We were always close growing up, and I attribute that a lot to my mother. One of the things she did whenever we would fight, she would make us hug and say, "I love you," and
Mm,
we couldn't
yeah.
stand it then, but now as a parent, I see why. And
Yes.
so we're all really close to this day. And so with losing our brother so young, it really made us realize that life is precious and you're not guaranteed life. And so the remaining siblings remain close, and even through disagreements, there is no, cutting off, because we understand that we may not be here.
Yeah, yeah. Definitely agree with that, man. Life is but a vapor. You can be here one moment and be gone the next. I definitely can attest to that. So many people that I've lost from 2017 up until now. Even with, my wife, Tamika, losing her father last year, it showed me to continue to build a bond with my own father. Because you only get two parents, one mother, one father. And the
Mhm.
moment they're gone, you can't get them back in the natural. And so that definitely helped me, draw closer to my father, spend more time with him, call him, check on him. Hey, how you doing? How's life going? And so, yeah, when you lose people, it definitely strengthens the bond. Yeah,
Mhm.
I definitely agree with that. In your area of reading and helping you get through the area that you grew up in, how did reading help you cope with challenges growing up in poverty? And the reason why I ask this question is because for me, I think wealth starts in the mind and then it shifts to, our bank accounts or our pocketbooks. So for you, how did that help you going through that area of poverty?
Yeah, for sure. I was able to read about people in similar circumstances who maybe through education, they were able to get out of that. So Maya Angelou, she is from
Yeah.
Arkansas,
Wow.
um, from a small town, Stamps, that's not very far from where I'm from. And so I remember reading about her as a child. And so that was a real life example of what was possible.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I totally agree. Even going back to that, um, you can look at wealth in so many ways. The books that we read, from a wealth of information, wealth of knowledge, that helps us get through these different periods, of our life. And even for you being a avid reader, I'm trying to do better in picking up books and read more because it expands your communication, it expands your, vocabulary. And so when you're in different rooms, you know how to navigate yourself, if that, makes sense. So, uh, these stories that you were reading in these different books helping you navigate childhood, what lessons did stories teach you about resilience, hope, and perseverance, knowing that you were going through that tough time?
For sure, because I did experience a lot of traumatic events as a child, and so reading books where there were people who experienced maybe similar things, and all the books that I read, they were, they showed the journey through resilience, that circumstances or events that happen don't have to define you.
Yeah.
And so it just always gave me hope. And I just always knew that education was my key out of my
Yes.
circumstances.
Yes.
So I'm a first generation college graduate,
Wow.
first generation homeowner. And so just seeing those stories and books and reading, I always had hope that there was more, there was opportunity. I didn't have to be defined by my circumstances.
Yes, I definitely agree. You can have families or siblings who grow up in the same environment, but they can each take two different routes in two different directions. One can
Mhm.
see it as a way out to better myself, while the other sibling could, just sit there and not do anything to change it. And so, I definitely agree with that. And from what I'm hearing as well, you being first generation, to me that defines and helps with legacy and moving the family forward. And so, yeah, that's amazing to hear. That's awesome. I want to pivot. I want to shift to your college experience, the degrees that you have that have helped you be in these spaces and rooms that you're in. Why did you decide to pursue a degree in human resource development? Specifically, why was that drawing to you?
So initially, when I went to college, I wanted to be an attorney. Got to college and quickly, realized, no, I don't think that's it. And then I switched my major to political science because, as I said, I've always just been civically engaged and interested in politics. Um, and so life happened, and I didn't finish my degree. And I worked, got married, had a child, and so once my son was born, that's when I'd always wanted to go back,
Yeah.
but the further you are removed, the more difficult it is to go back.
Yes. Yes.
And so once my son was born, that just really weighed on me. How can I tell him you need to go to college and get a degree when I didn't complete it? And so ultimately, what ended up happening is I wanted to finish where I started. And so I needed to do an online program because I now lived in Texas. And so human resource development was a degree that I could get online, but I was also working in human resources at the time. So it really was a natural fit.
Right. Right.
And so human resources for me, it was all about being an advocate,
Yeah.
whether an advocate for the company or being an advocate for the employees. So
Yes.
it
Yeah.
really was just a natural fit.
Yeah. Yeah. I can agree. I mean, you look at the word human, it's all about making sure that you are uh, putting yourself in position to take care of these people, that you serve. And so I know we talked a little bit offset of you being, a mother, newly married, and having to take care of kids, but also pursuing these degrees. How was it going back to the place that raised you, that allowed you to grow up and become the woman that you are, and going back to that school of University of Arkansas? How was that for you?
It was special. Um, it truly meant a lot to finish there. It felt fulfilling. Um, it felt like home. It was nostalgic.
Yeah.
I did go and I walked in graduation, and
Wow.
so went back to the campus where I grew up. It's where I got my lifelong friends. It's where I learned so much about the world, where I learned so much more about myself, and so it really was special.
Yeah. 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 Staying there, how was it, I guess, wearing the many hats that you were wearing at the time, school, being a wife, uh, pursuing these degrees? How was it trying to juggle all of these hats, trying to keep that balance? How was that for you mentally and emotionally, knowing that I'm a mother, I'm a wife, but I'm also pursuing these degrees to better educate myself? So for you, how was it trying to juggle all that?
It was difficult because I
Yeah.
was a full-time employee as well. But I have an amazing husband. He stepped in. So when I couldn't go to football games or
Yeah.
events, he was there. Also, my sister lives here, and so she stepped in as well. She would take videos and pictures and just really fill in the gap.
Yeah, yeah. I think
So
that's important. A lot of guests that I've had on the show here previously, we've talked about having a healthy support system, making sure that you have people in your corner to help you navigate, different seasons of life. Because at the end of the day, we're only one person. There's only so much that we can do before we exhaust ourselves. And so I think that's very vital, making sure that you have people in position in place to help you get through that. We always say that it takes a village. Yeah,
absolutely.
it takes
Yeah.
a village.
And it was a sacrifice. I sacrificed a lot, but I went full steam ahead and I wanted to finish as quickly as I could. And so I doubled up and I took as many classes as I could to finish as in as short of an amount of time that I could. I didn't want to sacrifice 4 or 5 years. I
Yes.
wanted to do it. My son was 4, and so by the time I completed my bachelor's degree and got my master's, he was 6.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Yeah. Your MBA, transitioning from getting that degree, how did earning your MBA change your confidence in professional spaces? How did that help getting that MBA?
wow, it was a very transformative process. I was in spaces with people that maybe I otherwise would not have been. I was challenged in ways that didn't feel comfortable at
Yeah.
all.
Yeah.
It was a great experience. I'm a academic journal published author. One of my
Wow.
courses I'd written a paper, and the professor said, "Hey, if you'd like to be published, submit for it." And so I did it, not really expecting that he'd say, "Hey, this is a good paper, let's do it." And he did. So he jumped on, because in the academic world you have to have a doctorate to get published. And so that was an experience in and of itself. So you go to a conference and you have these academics who basically vet your work and they question you. And it's a very intense process that wasn't natural for me. It was somewhat intimidating, but God equipped me to be able to be confident in that. And so ultimately, the paper was published. It was aligning culture with human resource strategies. And so culture is something that is very important to me. So it really was just like the starting point for a lot of other things. So I can look back to that experience. I was able to improve public speaking skills through my MBA program.
Yeah.
I also wrote a business plan. We created a business as part of a capstone project. And I never thought I wanted to be an entrepreneur, but later in life, I had an HR consulting company. So a lot of things that happened later, it really was the foundation, that MBA program.
Yeah. Yeah. You mentioned being uncomfortable. There's a quote that I've heard numerous of times, I think from Steve Harvey himself, where he says you have to learn how to be comfortable in the uncomfortable. And so, yeah, I definitely can attest to that, being in spaces where you are challenged. But I think it's necessary for our growth. It's necessary for us to succeed and not become complacent and staying in where we are. And so having those challenges at times is what, molds and shapes us. I totally agree with that. In what ways did business education strengthen your ability to become a strategic connector? I saw that in your bio, you being a strategic connector. So, having that business education admin, how did that help you with that quote?
That just gave me more tools to add to the toolkit. And so now, as I'm, navigating spaces, whether it's in my professional role or personally, I have a lot of reference points that I'm able to look back on just through those courses that I didn't think that would be maybe not beneficial, but all of my experiences have definitely shaped me and played a role. And so it just goes back to the scripture, all things work together.
Romans 8:28. Yeah. You talked about a book, correct, earlier on in writing. I want you to kind of, I don't want to brush over that. I want you to kind of elaborate more, I guess, on the title and what made you go in that direction to publish that.
So it's an article that's
Okay.
published in an academic journal. And one thing that's really profound for me, because every now and then I'll Google it and to see my work cited in other works, but essentially it was looking at organizations who say our culture is one thing, but is that really reality? Because top level management can say the culture is one thing, but is that reality? If you go to lower levels, do they agree with that? And the culture that actually exists, does it really align with the strategies that top management has, decided are what is for the organization?
Right. Wow. You being in these different spaces and places, you also mentioned public speaking. How important is it for us to make sure that we become effective communicators in these rooms that we're in? You have the business education, you have the degrees, learning from some of your mentors, your mother, your father, being hardworking. How important is to make sure that we learn how to become effective communicators to get our point across?
I'll just say, naturally, I'm someone who doesn't seek out the forefront. I'm much more comfortable working in the background. I'm a servant leader. So I want to do the work. I'm not as interested in that. But even in that, you have to be able to effectively communicate. You have to be able to tell your story. You have to be able to speak up. And so having those experiences in cultivating public speaking has really helped me. So public speaking doesn't necessarily mean you have to be on a stage.
Yeah.
This is an example of public
Yeah.
speaking. When I go into a community and I'm, talking about a new initiative, that public speaking helps in that as well. To be able to communicate exactly what it is that you're trying to get across, what the purpose is, what the mission is,
Yeah.
what's the goal.
Yes. Even for me, being here, it'll be 2 years this upcoming March, and being in spaces and places to where I had to become an effective communicator, or we talked about earlier, being uncomfortable, going to certain meetings in regards to public relations, going to city council meetings, sharing the certain programs that we have in place, the innovative programming, going to public meetings with, the city of Everman, trying to cultivate and build their relationship, sitting in front of them and trying to go do this PowerPoint and let them know, hey, this is what we have planned, this is the purpose for it. But also getting feedback as well, because I think it's important not only to deliver things that we're trying to put out for the community, but also having an open heart to receive feedback rather than running from it. So,
Absolutely.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Let's shift. Let's get more into what you do in regards to the community, public service, all those different things, working alongside Congressman Marc Veasey as field director. What does I guess, typical day look like for you as a field director?
No 2 days are the same. It's a lot of variety. Absolutely love it. But essentially, what my role is to connect the constituents to government. So I spend a lot of time educating, going out into the community, letting folks know that, hey, these are the services our office provides.
Yeah.
Your tax dollars pay for it. A lot of our constituency, they're just not aware the services that a U.S. congressman does. So a lot of it is education. So, for example, Social Security, that's one of the most common
Yes, yeah,
common
very common.
things we hear about. And so sometimes people will pay an attorney to work a Social Security case for them, where they could go to their member of Congress or their U.S. senator, because they do this, provide the same services as well, and it's completely free through your tax dollars. So I spend a lot of time educating people about that. If you have any issue with a federal agency, reach out to your member of Congress or one of the 2 U.S. senators.
Gotcha.
And it's just being embedded in the community,
Yeah.
being available for whatever type of service. I remember in the early days, I would be doing something like playing bingo with seniors,
Yeah.
and I'd be thinking, they're paying me to do this. I love hanging out with seniors because it reminds me of my grandmother and
Yeah.
my great aunt that I mentioned.
Yeah.
And so it's things like that. And it's, if there's an issue that is brought up in the community, it's, bringing it to the forefront, and there could be possibility of legislation being passed as a result of that. So really listening to the community, their needs.
Yeah. How important it is to make sure that, when I see the term field director or the word field in itself, I see you as a woman being in the trenches, being in the community, making sure that you are seen, and also, like you mentioned, having a listening ear to what the community needs. How is it important to make sure that you, being a field director, working alongside Congressman Marc Veasey, to make sure that the community are provided these services? Because if they don't know, it's hard to navigate. So how important is community engagement?
It's extremely important. That is the job. Congressman Veasey is a servant leader himself. It's something he's very passionate about, and so that really starts from him, and it trickles down that he really wants his staff in the community.
Yeah,
because the community is the boss, and I will tell people
like
that all the time. You're the boss.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I remember going to, I think it was last year, a listening party with newly elected Tarrant County Commissioner Roger Miles, and he was there, just taking in information from the community, those that live here in the city of Forest Hill, whether it be 40 years, 50 years, 60 years, who have raised their children and seen the transitions of what this city means to them, and him having the ability to take the time to listen to their needs and what they want to see happen in this city. So yeah, I think that's very vital in making sure that we are a servant leader. To me, I always see servant leadership as setting ourselves aside for the betterment of other people. At the end of the day, it's not about me. How can I serve these people and making sure that they are getting their specific needs met?
Yes, and as an elected official, you're one person. There's no way that you could possibly, on your own, know every single issue and
Yeah,
problem that's going on. And so that's why you depend on the community to tell you.
yeah, exactly. Gotta stay engaged.
Yeah.
I want you to take a moment, those that are watching and listening, to kind of share a story of where your work directly helped a family or a community group, something that you can reflect on and like, wow, I really had the ability to change the trajectory of a family's life or individual.
So one of the other things I do is connecting people to resources. So um, it could be maybe connecting a family with a nonprofit that provides the services
Yeah.
that they need. So as I go out and I'm meeting with various people, I'm documenting this person provides these services. And so as I meet people and I see where there could be alignment, I make introductions.
Hmm.
And that for me is just invaluable because there's just so many organizations and so many people doing work. It can be daunting to know everything that's going on. And especially when, you're working and you're caring for your family and you're in your bubble, whatever that is, it can be difficult to know all the services. And so I can think of one specific example is there is a company who again just doing outreach. I'll go and have dinner, lunch, just to embed myself. But this one particular company, they were having issues with the IRS and the return. They were owed a return. They weren't aware that their member of Congress could do that, and so I made the connection to a caseworker in our office, and they were able to get a substantial return finally processed because they were hitting a brick wall with the IRS. Our case manager, who was excellent subject matter expert, she was able to go to the congressional liaison and get that process. So that's just one example
Wow.
of, you're talking about a small business owner. Any amount helps, and they depend on all the funds that they have. So.
Yeah. Yeah, well said. Well said. It's definitely necessary to make sure that we are building partnerships and connecting with people and collaborating to get some of these needs met. That's something that we're really, really big on here. Even working here at the library, a lot of people that we've connected with, different organizations, just bringing in those resources. Like even here recently, last year, having our mini health fair, making sure we're providing health services for people that are dealing with different areas. Or even here, about a few weeks ago, we had a job fair, partnering with, Goodwill to make sure that people have employment, people are getting jobs, because we know it's tough right now for a lot of people in the economy. And so I think it's very powerful to make sure that we are putting these things in place. And it was a beautiful thing to see. We had 100 plus, people in here. And so people were still asking, hey, when is the next one? And so definitely working on another one coming forward to make sure that people get what they need.
Kudos to y'all, because some people think a library is just a place of books,
Yeah,
but
exactly.
it's community and connection.
Yeah,
So
community and connection. Just one big hub, multifaceted, and so it's definitely been a blessing to work here and engage with the community, patrons that I build relationships with that come in throughout these doors that know me by name, and me putting a smile on my face, like, hey, good to see you, or come back and see us. And so people want to see that recently. From a previous show that I did, I was looking at the comments, and a Hispanic guy, he was like, Willie has done an extraordinary job in making sure that people are feeling comfortable coming to the library, no matter what the race is, no matter what their ethnic background is, making them comfortable and coming in here and getting those services met. So
that's important.
it makes you feel that you're doing,
and it's
you're headed,
invaluable.
Yeah, that you're headed in the right direction. Woman of many hats. Let's go into walk us through the backstory of creating Legacy Circle and what that consists of. I'm pretty sure that's your baby. So those that are watching and listening, what's the backstory of Legacy Circle?
So, Legacy Circle is an assignment that God gave me. As I mentioned, I'm a connector. I have a heart for women as well as children, but Legacy Circle is all about connecting women and helping them realize their legacy. I believe that legacy isn't something that's left behind, it's lived. So it's all about women sharing connection, serving the community to build their legacy.
Yeah, yeah, I love it. You have any, I guess, recent memorable experiences, I guess, to some women that you've worked with that have given you positive feedback and mentoring and pouring to them? You have any memorable moments from some of these women?
Sure. So, held my inaugural event in September of last year. It was centered around service. Again, I'm a servant
Yes,
leader, and
servant
so
leader.
service
Yeah.
is very important to me. And
Yeah.
so, a lot of the women that I'm connected to and have surrounded myself with, they share the same values. And so, it was about service. But one particular lady who was there, um, she was transparent and shared some things that she was going through.
Right.
And so the ladies in that room just circled around her, loved her, and allowed her to be vulnerable. She was it was a safe environment so that she was able to share that. And I don't want
Right.
to get into
Yeah.
specifics to honor her in that way, but it was a beautiful moment. We ended in prayer, circled around her, and it was nothing but a move of God. Um, it wasn't a part of my agenda because I'm also very systems oriented, and
Yeah.
I had my agenda,
Yeah,
and
the
this is what
layout.
I thought things would go this way, but I listened to the Holy Spirit, and so she shared that she'd never felt embraced by women in that way.
Wow.
And this particular person, I know her, and I just assumed that she's got a circle and everything is great. But it's just another example of you never know what someone's going through, what they're
Yes. Yes.
carrying. So
Yeah.
be careful how you treat people,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
because you never know. And so for me, that was um, such a warm feeling because for me, it's about service. It's about honoring God and the assignment that He's given me. It's not an assignment that I necessarily wanted because, again, I'm fine being in the background,
Yeah.
but I always want to be obedient to Him. And so just that one moment made it all worth it for me.
Yeah. 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 That's very important. I've seen it here recently, even in the life of my wife Tamika, of how women uh, that have embraced her, and losing, her father, and her being vulnerable and having that space for her to share and to cry and to get it all out. But at the same time, these women embracing her, specifically too, my mother, uh, she's definitely a nurturer, and I think that's a natural ability for women, having the ability to nurture and bring comfort and peace. And so I've seen it firsthand as well. My wife going through this transition, but not by herself, having women in her corner, some like my mother, my sister, church family, to wrap their arms around her and tell her, "Hey, it's gonna be okay. We're gonna get through this, together. Take your time. Don't rush it." And so it's definitely been a breath of fresh air for me, as a husband, seeing those women come together and pouring into her.
Yeah,
Yeah,
because we're relational beings.
yeah,
We need each other. And
yeah,
so there can be a narrative that, women can't get along, but I don't subscribe to that at all.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I guess for Legacy Circle, what are some other initiatives that you're looking to do? How far are you looking to take this brand? What are some other things on your heart that you want to do with Legacy Circle?
So we do have another event. It's the 28th of this month, and the title is For Her This Time. And so it's all about women focusing on themselves
Hmm.
and getting what they need because as women, we're natural nurturers and
Yes.
givers. And so a lot of times we can put ourselves on the back burner. And I've been guilty of that myself. There have been times where my identity was mother and wife. There wasn't
Yeah.
Scherron. And so
Yes.
just getting to the point of you have to nurture yourself.
Yeah.
You need self-care. So whatever that looks like for you, if that is like for me, I get fulfillment in volunteering and just being active in the community. That's how I'm able to recharge. But for someone else, maybe it looks like rest.
Mm. Yeah. Yeah. I totally agree. I think that's
Mm.
very important. You mentioned, being a wife, being a mother, but putting yourself on the back burner, and that can definitely be detrimental to us if we're not properly taking care of ourselves. Because if we're empty, it's very difficult for us to pour into others if we're not restored, if we're not
Mhm.
refreshed, if we're not revived. So I think that's vital. Staying there, what are some other things that you do in regards to self care that make sure that Miss Sharon is well rested?
Rest. I love sleep.
That's nothing wrong with sleep. You need
Yes, I
sleep.
love sleep. Spending time with my friends, whether that's brunch. Love going to
Yeah,
brunch. Going. I love live bands. Listening to music.
yeah.
Um, Binging Netflix shows.
Of course. Yeah, so like me. Yeah.
I'm a wannabe FBI agent, so I'm solving crimes, watching these shows too.
Yeah. I got
And it's
you.
just stillness.
Yeah,
Spending time with God, feeling myself, going to church, being poured into
yeah,
that way,
yeah, yeah,
and spending time with family. I genuinely enjoy my family.
yeah, yeah. Same here. That's definitely something that I want to do more of. I have a family group chat. I'm the oldest of four siblings. My
Mhm.
sister Jazz, Quinn, and Peaches, and my pops. We have a group chat, and so we're trying to be better this year and making sure that we are at least spending time with each other. At least even if it's once a month, to come
Mhm.
together as a family to go get lunch, dinner, or go to a movie or go to a family outing to make sure that we keep that bond solid as well. Because like you mentioned earlier, we can get so caught up in the busyness of life,
Mhm.
professional careers and school and being a mother or a father, a husband, or wife, and not taking the time to come together collectively. And so, yeah, that's me too. I'm a big family man, making sure that I'm spending time with them. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
because
vital.
time, I mean, it's fleeting, and you look up and 6 months have passed, and
Yeah,
it feels like nothing.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So, got to be intentional. Whether so that's
Yes,
calendar, put it
yeah,
on your calendar.
yeah,
Whatever makes you, hold yourself accountable
yeah,
to doing that.
yeah, yeah. Going back to Legacy Circle, how do you help women recognize their own value, voice, and potential? Because, like you mentioned earlier, the testimony that you shared with the young lady who had the ability to be vulnerable, and her response was, "I never felt this way from other women." So, for you being a leader of this brand, how do you make women um, make sure that they are recognized and being valuable and that their voices are heard?
One, I think it's creating the space for it. So before that event, I prayed for every woman that would be there. So I'm a firm believer that God orchestrated every single person who was there
Mm,
for that particular woman, and each person was able to pour in a
yes.
different way.
Yeah.
So that's one. Listening, um, truly listen,
Yeah.
um, and having the heart for women. Like that's
Yeah.
not something that I don't believe that's something you can teach.
Mm,
And
yeah.
so, because this is something that is important to me, it's something that I'm called to do. It's almost natural in a sense. Being transparent.
Yeah.
I'm very transparent. I don't mind sharing anything that's happened in my life, that I've gone through, because I'm a firm believer in, the things that you go through. They're not always just for you; they're
Yes.
for
Absolutely.
someone else. And
Yeah.
um, there's a lady that I know. She would often say, "Testimony frees everyone in the room."
Mm. Whew. Wow.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's heavy. I never I
yeah,
never heard it phrased that way.
yeah.
Yeah. I definitely agree. Yeah, we got to get to a point to where we are um, being vulnerable with others, but also making sure that those we are connected to create those safe spaces for us to share that vulnerability. Yeah, wow, that's that's powerful. I love that. You being a mother, what does motherhood look like to Miss Sharon? Knowing that you have two kids, trying to raise them, pouring into them. What does motherhood mean to you personally?
Motherhood is a science project. It is the absolute hardest thing that I've ever done, but the most fulfilling. And I just remember very early on saying, like, my number one goal is I don't want to screw my kids up.
Mm,
But it's also realizing that I'm going to make mistakes. I have made mistakes, but the way that I've tried to parent my kids, I've taken my own childhood and experiences that I had from my own parents, and I've, implemented some of those same things, and I've done some things different. Um, I think probably the biggest thing that I've tried to be intentional about with my children is giving them a voice and a
mm,
space to be able to use their voice. So I grew up in, the 80s.
mm.
And so we weren't allowed to say certain things or have opinions about certain things. And so I've tried to be really intentional with my kids to give them a voice. I will regularly ask them, like, ask them to grade me, if you will.
Yeah.
Like, how am I doing as a parent? And I try not to take it personally. Like, I really try to listen to what it is they're saying. Um, but motherhood is just, it is it's my legacy.
Yeah.
Um, I love my kids so much. I didn't know it was possible to love anybody else as much as I love them. I've been blessed with great kids. Our daughter McKinley, she's in the 5th grade, and she's just such a special girl. She's very strong.
Yeah.
She advocates for herself in a way that I wish that I was able to
Yeah.
years ago.
Yeah.
So I'm very proud of that. And then our son Jaden, he's a freshman at Prairie View,
Wow.
marketing major.
Cool.
Um, he is he's very wise beyond his years, and it's something that I've recognized in him years ago, and I think he's finally in a place now where he's leaning into that.
Mm.
Um, but yeah, it's very difficult. It has not been a smooth ride,
Of
and
course.
I'm sure it won't be a smooth ride. There's been challenges, and apologizing. That's something that I've done with my kids.
Wow.
When I've messed up, I've apologized. When I've been too short, or when I've yelled, not been patient enough. And so the kids are very gracious, and they forgive me.
Yeah. Wow. Wow. You mentioned something about um, having the ability as a parent to apologize and know that, okay, I messed up, I've done wrong, forgive me. And I've seen that too, even with the relationship of my mother Brenda and Jazz, who's 2 years younger than me. I've seen how their relationship have grown through my mother owning her mistakes and sharing. Even though I'm the parent, forgive me for some of the things that I've done. I think that has strengthened their relationship to where it is now. Because earlier on, yeah, it was, yeah, it was chaotic growing up in a household with two women. But I've seen the growth between them two, and even now living under the same roof, and my sister raising her nephew, her son. Yeah, it's definitely been a beautiful thing to see. I think that's important for parents to, take ownership.
Absolutely.
Yeah, yeah, I think that's important.
Kids need it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. They
even
do.
even the adult kids. And
Yes.
I will say that my own parents, as an adult, I've gone to them and I've shared things that maybe issues I had with certain things, and they've both been very receptive.
Yes.
And that has only strengthened our relationship.
Yeah.
And I've known of other cases where adult children have shared things and parents aren't receptive to that.
Yeah, 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 yeah. I think for me, it can be a heart issue, things that are going on inside that uh, as adults or parents don't take the time to deal with so that they can be more receptive to their children. Going back to McKinley and Jaden, were there ever times to where you've learned things from them? Because it's always the opposite where the parents are, training and teaching their children, but has there been moments in your journey to where I've learned from my son and daughter?
Absolutely. They've both taught me so much. Um, so Jaden was the original science project. No, I really didn't know what I was doing. Um, he really made me more appreciative of my own parents and their journey
Mm.
through parenthood, and also actually both children um, really helped me appreciate my mother more. She was a single mother, raising 4 kids, and just like the emotional aspect of that, I had so much more respect because back then people weren't talking about mental
Yeah,
health. You didn't
no,
you didn't
yeah.
talk about
It
any
wasn't a
of that.
thing back then.
So that really made me more appreciative of them, and it made me more forgiving and understanding of my
Mm,
own parents. Whereas,
yeah,
maybe I had one perception of, why did they do this or why didn't they do that, being a parent myself. But I think Jaden particularly, um, in his early years, he had some behavioral issues,
mm,
and it was a challenge for me because as a kid, I wasn't that way. I didn't have, I was the good kid in school, and so he just really taught me a lot about advocating for him
yeah,
because I did have to advocate for him being a black boy
mm,
in a predominantly white school. And so he taught me a lot about that. He was very resilient, um, very respectful
yeah,
young man. Um, for whatever reason, he just was emotionally immature. And so navigating that space with him and having to be an advocate, that really taught me a lot. And probably is why I started advocating for
Asian,
education in
yeah,
general, which in Mansfield ISD, which is where we are, I advocate for other kids
yeah,
that, maybe don't have anyone to advocate for them.
exactly, exactly. I want to go there. You on multiple committees and me in regards to public service. Kind of talk about Mansfield ISD Legislative Leadership Committee and what that consists of.
So essentially, what that committee is for, we're advocating at the legislative level. So it's a brand new committee. It just started about 6 months ago. And so we're learning a lot about the various laws in the state of Texas, school finance, and those sorts of things. And really a lot about the business side of Mansfield ISD
Mm,
and just public schools in general in the state of Texas so that we can go out and advocate to our legislators, to our community, getting them activated. Because public schools in Texas, this is a really difficult time for public schools.
mm,
We need advocates. The state sends a lot of mandates down, but they're unfunded. And so there's a lot of budgeting issues for districts across the state.
yeah,
Mansfield ISD, they're in a better position than some of the surrounding districts just due to really good CFO that we have, but we're all in this together.
yeah,
So,
yeah,
I'm on this committee for Mansfield ISD, but I'm also advocating through this committee for Fort Worth ISD,
yeah.
Everman ISD, Dallas ISD, because we're all in this
They
together.
all listen together. Yeah, that's so true. Going back to what we mentioned earlier, it takes a village, it takes a team, it takes a collective effort,
Mm-hmm.
to get the job done. How important is pushing literacy and education when it comes to public schools? We see history being removed from schools. We see books being banned from certain libraries. So for you being in this space, how important is it to make sure that we are still pushing education and literacy?
It's so important because you learn to read and then you read to learn.
I like that.
So
Yeah,
if our kids can't read, they're not learning.
yeah, yeah,
And an illiterate society is not one that's going to thrive.
yeah,
And so reading really is the foundational piece of education.
yeah, yeah. I definitely agree. There's a quote of one of my brothers who says, "Reading isn't just fundamental; it's fun and mental."
I
Yeah,
love that.
yeah,
I
yeah.
never
So
heard that. I love
that's
that.
always stuck with me. I was like, wow, that makes sense. It's not just fundamental, but you can make reading fun, but at the same time, making sure that you are challenging yourself, mentally, with reading certain books, certain language, certain stories, learning history, and so yeah, that always stuck with
and
me.
and that really is a danger when you start removing certain books, because
Yes,
kids need to read about things that they enjoy.
yeah,
Everyone is different, and so if you start cherry picking and you want everything monolithic, to maybe one demographic, that's not encouraging reading.
yeah, yeah, I definitely agree. It should be widespread across the board. I definitely agree with that. Let's get into what is Poly Main Street Advisory Board? What does that consist of?
So that's the Polytechnic Heights,
Wow.
in Fort Worth.
Okay. My mama actually went there.
Okay.
Yeah, she graduated from Poly.
Yeah, so it's an initiative, to basically revitalize that area. So we're talking Vaughn
Boulevard,
Boulevard.
yeah, I'm
And
familiar.
so for folks who aren't familiar, it's near Texas Wesleyan. And so Vaughn goes from Texas Wesleyan over to 287.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so it's just revitalizing and really investing some dollars and attention into areas that traditionally haven't received them. There was a similar project, and actually it's still going on right now in the north side of Fort Worth.
Mm.
And so I serve on that as on an advisory capacity. And so just really having a seat at the table and hearing again what the community wants to see. And so there's a lot of plans to bring more there and make it a destination for folks outside of Poly
Yeah,
neighborhood
of
to come in.
course.
They're talking about music festivals and all
Wow.
sorts of things. The African American Museum will be opening sometime soon.
Wow,
They
that's
have their
awesome.
space, they have to get their exhibits, but it's there. And so just really providing a space
Mm.
in that community.
Wow. Yeah. Going back to what we just mentioned earlier, man, you remove history, that can be very dangerous. We want to make sure that we are in tune, with our history. It's stuff that I'm still learning, being the age of, 36, that I didn't know in regards to Black history and culture and things that some of our followers have created and done. And so, yeah, that's pretty cool. Are you excited? What are you excited to see in regards to um, this renovation of that area? What are some things that you're excited to see come about?
So it's still in the planning
Okay,
phases. There's
okay,
not been anything that's concrete just yet,
okay.
but I'm excited to go there, to bring my family
Yeah,
for whether it's a block party or it's a music festival. That's one of the things that's been talked about. It's such a rich area as
yeah,
far as history and just the community that exists there. And so I'm excited for other people to find
to
out about
find.
this hidden gem.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm definitely excited about the museum. I think I've heard about it here recently, so that's definitely something I'll look forward to going to, and maybe turn it into a family outing. Like I mentioned earlier, my mom
Mhm.
graduated, from Poly. I have some other friends and cousins, whoever, that have graduated from Poly, so definitely familiar with the area. And even when I was growing up, um, Sycamore Rec, that's right across the street. I used to go there
Mhm.
as a child and play pickup basketball with some of the friends and those that I went to school with. Fort Worth, being a big city, would be schools, whether it's Poly or people who went to Wide or Dunbar, Eastern Hills, we would all come together and just, play basketball. So, yeah, definitely familiar
Yeah.
with that area.
And black coffee is right there. And I
Yes.
really just feel like it's the embodiment of what they're trying to bring to the area. Black coffee is all about community. You can go there on any random day
Yeah.
and you never know who you're going to see there.
Wow.
It's, people from the community that are there, having coffee or tea or whatever they're having. But I think it's just a preview of what we'll see on a larger scale.
Yeah, I love that. And I love me some coffee. Everybody in the staff know that I am a heavy coffee drinker.
See, I'm a latte girl, so I say I drink fake coffee, but yeah.
Hey, it's cool. I give you fair. It's cool with me. But let's get into, as we wrap up the show, United Way Tarrant County Arlington Steering Committee. As we wrap up and close, kind of share with our listeners and viewers what that committee consists of.
So, of course, most folks are familiar with United Way. They're a nationwide nonprofit. And so United Way of Tarrant County, they have this steering group in Arlington that really is just focused on the needs of Arlington. Arlington is a very large city within Tarrant County.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of resource sharing. I also have sat on the grants review committee. And so for these HUD grants that nonprofits apply for through the city of Arlington, I've participated in that as far as reading the grant applications and
Wow.
sort of scoring them in accordance to the qualifications that exist. So it's been a very worthwhile experience. And again, just learning about organizations that are here in the community to provide services that, maybe I wouldn't have known about.
Yes.
And, there are just so many people who are invested in various ways to giving back and servicing the community. And so it's just a very a heartfelt thing to be a part of.
Yeah, I totally agree. Well, we thank you, Miss Scherron, for being a guest on today's show. I appreciate all the information that you share with those that are watching, your journey, your experiences, juggling the multiple hats that you wear, public service, being a mother, being a wife, and then also working alongside Congressman Marc Veasey. So we definitely appreciate, all that you're doing. All I could say is just keep going. Like my grandmother would always say, continue to put one foot in front of the other. So we definitely appreciate you, Grace. Is there any last words that you want to share with those that are watching, listening, to close us?
Yeah. Thank you so much for having me. It's been an honor to be here, to share with you all. I love the community. I love this community of Tarrant County. It's been really good to my family and I. It feels like I've been here forever, but it's always going to be an Arkansas girl. That is home, but my chosen home of Tarrant County. I really love it. This community has embraced me, and again, thank you so much for having me. It's been a pleasure.
Yes, I definitely enjoyed it. Great conversation, great dialogue. Well, this is Ordinary Conversations with Extraordinary People, and I believe today we definitely had an extraordinary conversation. Learned a lot about Miss Scherron Richard and who she is and what she does for our community. So y'all continue to follow us, continue to hit that subscribe button, Forestry Library District on our YouTube channel. Follow us on Facebook for all our upcoming events and programs. But without further ado, we will see y'all next time right here in these orange chairs. Peace.
Thank you.